So anyway, welcome everyone. We are Ketchup and Mustard. We have played a lot of Mortal Kombat. You know our channels, whether it's on Twitch, whether it's on YouTube. You've probably seen that we've been covering quite a lot of this game. And as this is live currently on twitch.tv/PNDK&M, we have been doing some promotions through the month of September, as it is Subtember on Twitch. And let me just show you very quickly, we've had some goals through the month of September to hit. And those goals have all been reached. So we've had a tremendous amount of support from our subscribers, our viewers, our fans in general on the Twitch. And as you can see, what we thought would be quite an impossible goal has been reached by the end of the month. And that means we are obligated now to do a way too early MK1 tier list. You know us, we're not normally ones for doing immediate tier lists. Obviously, we have done tier lists for various games, but we normally give it a little bit of time first. But the people have spoken, we got to give them what they want. And it's time for us to do a very opinionated, personally what we think of the game so far, tier list for the main fighters and the cameo fighters in MK1. So to all of you that helped us reach this goal of 1,000 subs in a single month, thank you so much. This is for you. I hope you enjoy it. But yeah, we're gonna have a chat about the characters in the game, rate them accordingly. We think we're probably gonna do the main fighters, thinking of like good cameos with them in mind, and how we think that is gonna be affecting the ultimate way we kind of want to see it, because you can basically do the main fighters without cameos and then kind of just judge them as they are, or you can take cameos into effect. And because the game is played with cameos, to us it makes the most sense that we're going to factor that in and decide who we think is the strongest and who we think maybe needs a bit of help or whatever, the in-between. And then the cameo fight is much of the same thing. But yeah, I guess we should just make a start, right?
I think it's the best way to go. We weren't sure whether to start from the bottom or the top, but I think starting from the lower end and working our way up probably helps.
I mean, like, it's not going to be definitive. It's our opinion, of course, so please do take this with a grain of salt. And again, we are very aware it is really early in the game. It's a few weeks old, but, according, these are our opinions. This is what we're going to be doing. So again, don't take it as gospel, but
there's every chance for things to change in a matter of days. But as of right now, this is kind of how we feel. And,
and there has been quite a lot of tournaments to watch already. There's been some offline events, some regionals, some locals, some more major scale events already, and obviously plenty of online weeklies. So it's not like we've seen no competition from this game right now, and obviously the stress test, and the beta. So we've seen quite a bit of the game, even though it's only been out for a few weeks. But let's start with, I think, alphabetical. I think does actually make the most sense.
Alphabetical? I thought we were starting from the tiers and then putting characters in there accordingly.
Okay, so we start in low or top?
I think low. I think
low is going to be... I think we should start top.
We've only just started this tier list and we already can't decide.
This is going to be a disaster, I'll tell you right now.
I'll trust you.
I think we have to start from the top. We have to start with the top, and someone who is absolutely under no circumstances not up there is Kenshi.
Kenshi is a character that just has some of the absolute most oppressive MK1 elements to him. He is cheap, he does insane block pressure, he does really good chip damage. He has set play, absolute pure set play. The mix-ups that lead into combos, leads into more combos. It's very hard to put Kenshi anywhere other than up here, because he's in pretty much everyone's top 5, us included. I mean, this character has got some weaknesses, right? Kenshi's weakness is that when he's not got Sento out and he's stuck in his kind of regular sword stance that doesn't have access to the spirit moves, he's technically at a disadvantage. But when a Kenshi round gets going, it's very unlikely Kenshi's not going to just win the round off that. And that is one of the things about this character that is so hard to ignore, is that, yes, there is a element of you have a fighting chance to really make him struggle if what he's done hasn't worked. It's just the chances of it working right now are pretty high. And he's kind of breaking the rules a little bit in that respect.
Which was always going to happen because Sento is unique. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so distinct from anything else in the game that what it lets you do is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, he really has everything you need. His downsides can be played around by a competent Kenshi player. We've already seen him succeed competitively. And this is also a nerfed Kenshi from, like, compared to the beta to now. He did get some pretty heavy nerfs and he's still insane. And we're still seeing loads from him. So Kenshi, I feel very confident putting in the S tier. We're not going to have so much immediate because Kenshi's an obvious one to us. But obviously, you know, I think that will be less and less the case as we move through. But another character that I think we probably should be putting up there with him at the moment, I personally think is Johnny Cage.
I think Johnny Cage is top 5 as well.
I think Johnny Cage definitely has a good argument for being one of the stronger characters in the game because, again, you know, obviously early metas are going to be very aggressive. You know, characters that are doing a lot of damage, they're building a lot of meter, they've got a lot of synergy with various teams. It's hard to counterpick them. I feel like Johnny Cage kind of is that right now, where, you know, we're seeing Johnny Cage Cyrax, Johnny Cage Kano. He really has got this ability to just steamroll. And again, another character that is seeing competitive success. He's a very popular character competitively for good reason. Just overall a big threat in the game, and we're seeing him played, and I'm not saying that's just because people aren't used to the game yet. You know, I feel like Johnny Cage really is going to be someone that's going to be around for a while. I know a lot of that could be Cyrax cameo, which obviously will be a recurring theme as we talk about this. But he's just so good, man.
We have to keep in mind that some characters were really strong in beta, and you kind of look at the new game, or the released game with all of the extra stuff, and think, right, are these characters going to weigh up now there's more stuff? Many of these characters that we're seeing here that were from the beta simply become better with the post-game cameos. So, obviously, Sub-Zero cameo was not in beta, but Kenshi uses it extremely well. Johnny Cage works exceptionally well with something like a Cyrax, for example. So they can do what they do even better with cameos that we didn't see before release, and are now even better because of that. So Johnny Cage, covered in plus frames, feels like a nightmare to even take your turn back against this character, has incredibly large combo damage, and the fact that he doesn't have a projectile doesn't really mean anything, because
no, not in this game.
Mobility's fantastic. He's got good pokes, he's got really good forward dash movement. His jump kick is obnoxiously annoying to anti-air, and even then with the right cameo you can do certain moves into I'm going to call in my cameo and now be in a good situation. So,
well, you also have to remember as well, if we're talking cameo pairings, he doesn't have a projectile. You can pick cameos that do. Kano knives let him get in really easy. Cyrax Chopper gives him force ball pressure. You know what I mean? Like, you can take what was been taken from him and give it back to him with those cameos that are working out. And that's not even taking into account the crazy meter build and the utility he gets for Invincible Nut Punch, and, you know, the 50-second long combos he gets in the corner with Cyrax there. I just think it's a really strong character. And on the topic of really strong characters, I know he's a bit kind of like flavor of the month right now, but I genuinely think Baraka needs to go up there as well currently. I think Baraka is very powerful at the moment. Again, I would say Baraka Cyrax is probably the most common pair you're seeing online right now, and even in tournaments, I think a lot of people are pocketing this team in Baraka Cyrax just because it's very effective, it does humongous damage, it builds loads of bar, it can be very safe, and it's not super difficult to enforce. You know, I think this is an example of someone who has potential to fall off as people get more used to the matchup. Obviously, there are gaps in a lot of Baraka pressure that aren't being taken advantage of right now. Obviously, there are characters that have decent kind of neutral keep away options that he can potentially struggle with Cyrax, but you can't take away the fact that when he hits you, he's carrying you to the corner, he's taking half of your life away, and he's building loads of meter. So as it currently stands, I think he's really good. And even if they were to nerf some of the damage output or change some of the things about him, I think his kit is still so well put together, right? He's got an amazing mid, the low, the safe launching overhead. Standing 2 is one of the best whiff punishing highs in the game for sure. A lot of just easy confirms into big damage, a lot of corner carry. His own projectile is good, and obviously the chip damage. This character has the potential to do the most chip damage in the whole game because of that debuff that you compare him with Kano, Striker, Goro, as well as obviously Cyrax, to still play that game of everything's going to be safe, everything's building bar, everything's doing loads of chip, and again, you know, he is succeeding where we're seeing him played. He doesn't win, you know, he's not winning every tournament, but, you know, we just saw Azerbaijan win Vianality with Baraka Cyrax. We're definitely seeing the character played a lot and competing a lot, especially in things like ranked matches and everything. I think there is going to be a case of him maybe falling off slightly as people get more comfortable with the matchup, but there's only so far I can think he'll fall off. I think he is just so strong, and it's not just Cyrax that lets him do what he's doing. I think we're going to see a lot more of Baraka as the game goes on. And he's really fun. I like Baraka a lot in this.
It's about time Baraka was good, to be honest with you. He spent years and years being a terrible character, so having him be good now, I'm all for. But yeah, we have to also think of what kind of characters might just naturally become worse in the meta the more players get comfortable.
It's week 3, man. There's only so much we can know.
You look back on characters like Sonya in MK11, who, yes, to be fair, did get some nerfs, but the biggest nerf to her was people just learning the game.
Yeah.
And, is Baraka going to be one of those characters? Who knows? Because as the meta develops, armor becoming launchable, people getting comfortable blocking strings and armoring in between, opening up a mind game that right now most Baraka Cyrax players aren't doing. They're always doing string into the down forward 2 into then calling in Cyrax, and if
which
they do
is
that,
always unsafe
there's
against
a
a
full
lot of
punishable
characters.
gap.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a question for that, but we are not there yet. We're only a few weeks into launch, so we're just not at that point. However, outside of that now, who else exists in our top 5?
I will just take a quick second to say thank you everyone that's doing either the primes or the resubs, the gifts. Thank you very much everyone. Obviously, we're going to be putting this on YouTube, so we can't be as much back and forth, but I see the support. Thank you all very much. Massively appreciate it. Another character who I definitely think needs to go up there, potentially. I say potentially because I'm not as clear cut.
Definitely and potentially, there's indecisiveness there.
Yeah, and I think Raiden. I think Raiden is definitely coasting along towards the top tiers. Again, that this could be a case of the cameo pairing, and obviously right now, as we're recording this, Sonic Fox has said that Sonic Fox thinks that Raiden Cyrax is the best team in the game. But Raiden overall, just versatility. This character has so many potential really good pairs for giant damage. Yeah, we're talking Baraka damage off of the same resources, if not a bit less. We've got Raiden with Jax, Raiden with Serena, Raiden with Cyrax, Raiden with Sector. This character has so many options. And even when you take cameos out of it, what doesn't he have? Safe unseeable overhead, really good confirmable triple low, amazing gapless mid string that you can confirm into, launchers for days. Really has, again, one of those real fundamentally complete toolkits. And I think that's one thing that the best characters in the game all have in common. Even when you don't put a cameo with them, they're still good.
My thoughts on Raiden at the moment is he has everything that a character needs to be good early on in a game's life. And I feel like this is kind of going back into what I said about Baraka, that we'll keep an eye on Raiden later down the line, because right now this character has the unseeable overhead, which some people are saying they can react to, but I feel like, honestly, we have to look at the different levels for
We've
that.
spent the last 4 years here in Can You React to Sub Overhead in MK11, and people are still undecided, so I think we just have to get used to that.
Honestly, there's multiple discussions surrounding, can you see his mix-ups? Can you react to them? Raiden has incredibly high damage. He has mix-up options that some characters just straight up don't have, right? And he works with a lot of cameos that are incredibly powerful right now. So
he's just a very confirmable character too, right? The double low into safe low if you want to continue. The mid you can confirm into. He really just has everything you need. And punishes as well. He just has a lot of damage. Doesn't have to spend bar and resources. Takes you to the corner easily. Teleport is really good.
Teleport is good.
Can we talk the round 1 almost checkmate scenario you find? If they break and they've got 5% left and they're full screen and they can't close that distance and you just charge lightning ball, how can they deal with that without just flawless blocking it every time? I think he's a very good early character for sure.
We're not talking about as well the similar chip situations where he'll do a string into his down back 3, which goes you call in a cameo, and it's safer and harder to deal with. So there's more elements to him where if a character's good at the moment, it's because they have really good block pressure, they do a lot of good chip damage, they build a lot of meter, the cameos help them extend that, they get massive combo damage, they have mix-ups. You're looking at all 4 of the characters we have in our top 5 currently all have those elements. They may approach it differently, but they all tick those boxes that a competitive player in the hands of these characters, you have a lot of decent tools. But that leaves a final character that we would consider top 5. I think this gets a little bit tricky because there are quite a few other characters that might be here. this fifth character might be kind of hard. And even then, Raiden, I'm not 100% on Raiden myself yet.
No, I definitely think Raiden has to be... I think in the very near future, we will see why Raiden is considered so good.
Or we might see him fall off. I think it's more likely we'll see your side, but who knows? That leaves one character left for our top 5, however.
I don't think any of the other picks that are left quite jump to the top the way these 4 did, but I'm thinking characters like maybe potentially Ashra, Melina, maybe even Shang Tsung, because we know how good Shang with Kung Lao can be.
I feel like right now it's a discussion between Shang, Melina, or Ashra.
Yeah. But even then, Ashra I'm not as convinced on. I think... Oh, this one,
You
it's
say
difficult.
that though, but
it's
a
difficult.
really good Ashra, she's got a lot of tools. A lot of tools.
Maybe we come back to this. Maybe we start on our A tier, and then if we think that someone doesn't belong with the rest of them, we can bump them up. Because I don't know.
So here's what we'll do then. For now,
We'll definitely put them all in A.
We're going to take Ashra, we're going to take Melina, and we're going to take Shang, and we're going to stick them all in A tier. One of these already doesn't look right sitting down here.
Yeah, I just don't know which one yet.
So, in regards... And also, I would like to say, I don't think anyone in this game is D tier.
Let's put Sub in C, because that's definitely where he is currently.
Yeah, so let's go where...
The lowest will be C.
Areas that we know for sure. Sub-Zero, I think he's the worst character in the game right now. We'll revisit this, and we're going to talk about it more in depth. But Sub-Zero is, for me, the weakest character. I think that Sub-Zero just received a bit too much adjustments. It's hard to say nerfs for most characters if you're looking at pre-day 1 patch, but Sub-Zero was playable in stress test and beta, and he has definitely nerfed since then.
Yeah,
I would definitely consider him a character that just got way weaker compared to where he was in the beta build, where he was very scary. Some people said he was even the scariest of those characters, but he received so many changes. I just think that Sub-Zero, he just got hit too hard.
Well, it was changes to the important things, right? It was like... We may as well talk about Sub-Zero now while we are talking about...
we're talking about it. Let's just talk about it.
So let's talk about what was... like the main things that were adjusted. We can't mention every single little thing, but I know there are folks like... Obviously, Tom Brady's been doing a lot of coverage on Sub-Zero. I've saw K7, who played a lot of Sub-Zero in MK11, talked about Sub-Zero in his tier list. So there's a lot of people that have played the character that are giving more in-depth information on the character. But the fundamental point is, his mid was 12 frames, his forward 1, which is his like most confirmable advancing mid, was 12 frames, now it's 50. Damage across the board taken down. Was hitting kind of towards mid to high 300s per touch most of the time, now is kind of struggling to get to the mid 300 point. And obviously, I hear that Clone got more of a cooldown. That's one thing I haven't seen exact side-to-side comparison of. But again, it's important things got taken down. Damage, the less damage you do, the more hits it takes to kill the opponent. The slower your mid is, the harder it is to check people that are mashing, to take your turn when it's guaranteed, to whiff punish and things like that. So the things he got taken down are very important things to be taken down, you know, and it really has hit him harder, especially compared to what he was like before. And I think as it currently stands, there's no glaring cameo that makes up for any of that either. So it's kind of hard to know definitively where he's going to end up. I don't think he's far away from being, like, fixed, but as it stands, I just don't think he's very, very strong in the game.
And it's harder to see Sub-Zero in combination for what he did before.
Yeah.
You know, we all saw Sub-Zero in the beta. We all saw the damage that's more comparable to a lot of the characters we see now post-launch, and Sub-Zero just isn't doing any of that. And it's hard not to just compare him to everyone else, where he has to work a lot harder.
Yeah.
And that fundamentally is, when you have to work way harder than everyone else to get a similar reward they're getting, you're just not a good character compared to them. And that's just generally how it goes. So
let's have a chat about the three we've put in A tier, though. We may as well go through them. So Ashra, I think, is just another one of those characters that has just incredible neutral options. You know, she has one of the strongest overheads in the game. You know, it looks like she's jumping at you. If you do nothing off of it, obviously she's relatively safe, because I know it's like -10 or -11, but she goes back so far away and you're going to be waiting for the follow-up that won't happen, you're unlikely to punish it. But obviously she can cancel it too, which is damage. You put it with someone like Goro and it becomes straight up safe because you can plug the gap with the punch. And she's another character that I've seen, whether it's with Serena, whether it's with Goro, whether it's with... I've seen Sub-Zero with her. Like, definitely I've seen her be scary. She has decent damage. Her armored move is going to be better the more people play this game. She will probably end up having the best armored reversal in the game. She has, it's the phase forward, but it has like 2 hits of armor at least, as far as I'm aware, and you can cancel it, which means that she has a true flash parry. So you can go for it, have the armor absorb, cancel it, and now you're just standing there. And you get to do like a full standing unscaled punish on them. That is so strong, and this game has so many gaps, that is only going to get better. As people get comfortable playing against characters that have gaps in their offense, there's strings, they're calling a cameo and there's still a gap, you are going to be able to do that with Ashura and punish it clean. Probably hit the cameo, do more damage, and now you're just destroying them. And obviously projectile can be really plus if they respect it. Good buttons, so standing 2-2 is super good because it's the quick low. They're not always looking for it. 2 into 1 is a safe crumple. Can use the crumple for setup potential and more damage. Like, this character is super strong.
It's just in the hands of a really strong player that just is fundamentally sound. Ashura gives you a lot of tools that are incredibly rewarding. And that's on her own merits, not even factoring in the cameos that can give her bigger combo damage, better offense, more jailing pressure, more chip damage, pretty much you name it. Ashura will work with many of those different situations. So she's just fundamentally insane. But at the same time, putting her into a top 5...
To me, that doesn't quite feel right. I don't know if I'd say that, at least right now. I can see her being there eventually, but I don't know if I'm seeing it at the moment. That's the main thing.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because she could definitely be S tier in the right hands. And normally, I hate that talking point. I hate it when you say that, this player makes this character look X and Y tier because, that sometimes is the merits of the player. However...
I just realised we've got the game sound in the background from the thing. Should we just leave that as background noise? Is that fine? Chat, do you mind if we just leave the game sound on the background? I think it's pretty chill music.
It's the menu music and it's chill.
Yeah, sorry, not to throw you off. I just realised, obviously, it's still pretty early on, so leave it, yeah.
We're weighing up how she works versus the other two. So, Melina.
She is deleting you in this game.
Melina's kind of cheap. Like,
No, she's back. Melina is back in this game.
She's got really high damage. I mean, like, stupid damage. She's got whiff punish for days. She's got combo pathing for days.
Good overhead.
Good overhead. She has things to keep you uncomfortable.
Ball is still good. Whiff punisher, anti-air, anti-cross-up.
Pair her with loads of different cameos where you do EX ball into something else.
I mean, Jax, right? We see Melina Jax, we see Melina Lau. That's something that's starting to get really popular. I think those are the two main cameos, at least I've seen competitively so far, is Melina Jax, which gives her gigantic damage off of every confirm near enough.
She has a few issues where certain cameos, or characters, can make some of her things whiff.
Yeah, like we actually saw that at Vianality quite a lot. So Baraka, for example, her 1-2, which is the high into overhead into mid, if you crouch block the standing 1 and then stand up for the 2, the third hit will just whiff completely and make her punishable. But really that looks like something that is clearly going to be fixed. That's definitely not intentional. I would be very surprised if that wasn't fixed.
To me, Melina screams of a character that she touches you and about half your life's gone.
Oh, Melina Scorpion as well. We've seen that too.
Exactly.
That does a lot of damage.
That's my whole point, is that Melina has good movement, good mobility, really good punishes many different places on screen, I think, because you've got the ball roll, which is really, really fast. Anti-air game is fantastic. Her grounded mix-ups, they may not sound like much. Yeah, she's got a fast overhead, and people are like, yeah, where's her low starter? But she just has a lot of strings that keep you uncomfortable all the time. Things that can be extended by Kung Lao low hat, for example. Hit confirmability. She can confirm a lot of these into huge damage. Isn't really the most unsafe character in the game either.
No, definitely not. Especially compared to her normal self.
I just feel like Melina at the moment is a damn good pick. because she has the buttons, the range, the conversion potential. It all stems from the combination of bull roll, air roll, going into her upwards dive kick.
It's weird saying dive kick when she goes up.
But
really.
it's an
up
upwards.
Kick. The up kick.
And then EX roll as well. They all just work so well together that you then add the cameos to that. And it's just absolute pandemonium. So, like...
So, I
would rather personally... Not to cut you off, but I would rather, at the moment, have Melina in that over Ashura. However...
But I don't think we need a top 5. If they end up being the best 4, in our opinion, so be it. I'm not going to put one up there for the sake of it, especially if I don't think they're on the equal tier.
But I must say, of these 3 characters...
I think it's Shang.
Shang Tsung is, without a shadow of a doubt, the best zoner in the game... And that ain't even half of what he's doing.
And that also gives a lot of value, considering you look at those top characters, right?
I struggle not to put Shang in this top 5. When you look at the tools of Ashura and Melina that are both insanely strong, here's the thing. Shang Tsung still kind of has some of those elements, but stuff they do not have. Shang has stuff that none of the other top tiers have either.
Before we go too deep into talking about Shang, I will say, just on the Melina point...
You should check for food as well.
I mean, yeah, I'm keeping an eye out.
Just to be sure.
Yeah, sorry, just for those of you watching, we ordered some food before
we started.
We're
waiting on some dinner.
But yeah, sorry. So, Melina, her 1-2, you can flawless block it and make it punishable every time. And that's a universal piece of matchup knowledge. Whether that ends up being a real problem for her, time will tell. But as it currently stands, yeah, I agree with you on Shang. I think Shang is... Hang on, let me just quickly check. You're the one that's going to have to edit this on YouTube, so, you know, if you're the one saying it, I'll check.
I can chop that up. That's totally fine.
Make sure we're okay. Yeah, there you go. Should be fine. But yeah, what was I saying? Alright, yeah, sorry. Just making sure progress of our dinner is alright. Anyway, so Shang Tsung. Like Ketchup was saying, I do agree. I think he is the best. I think he is the best keep away character, the best, like, hard zoner in the game. But that is not, like, all he's doing. You put Lao cameo with him, and he's getting consistent setups into, like, hard to blockables. Young Shang's straight fireballs get a lot more dangerous when now suddenly there's a low fireball to worry about.
You can no longer crouch.
Yeah, that's jailing you into them. Also, he's just tricky. It's so hard to know what to respect. Because he can morph on a whim into young or old, there's so much to be ready for. Even things like young Shang getting a really hard to see overhead that he can just go old and do the low instead. You know, that's not a true 50-50, I think, but it's annoying. You know, this character, he's so good at just hit and run. He's got a really good down forward, just keeping you at arm's length the whole time. His anti-air, standing for anti-air, really good. Leads to huge damage. Every touch leads to full screen. And again, because how Meteor is built in this game, he builds so much bar. I don't think there's any other character quite in this game that when you hit them, it just seems like they've always got a breaker. Shang always has a breaker.
I feel like it makes way more sense from what we've been talking about to have Shang in this top 5.
Tentatively put him up there, but I wouldn't be super disappointed if we ended with that being our top 5.
But here is another element. We're seeing the increase of these absolutely gigantic upskull combos.
50-second combos.
People are saying these aren't that great because they scale. What they are doing is eating up the clock. And if Shang Tsung has a life lead against you, and there's like 30 seconds on that clock or something...
And he hits the combo, he wins.
And he hits that combo, you have no choice but to sit there and just see the clock go down.
You know you've lost 30 seconds before you've lost.
Shang Tsung in this game can timer scam you because he's hit you in a combo that just refuses to end. No one else in the game has that. And if he's fighting against a character that has a really good, annoying thing, like a Kenshi Sento stance, what can Shang Tsung do with the right cameo?
Become them at a whim.
Become them whenever he wants and do what they do better because he's got a damage boost and they don't. So, really, Shang Tsung has the best zoning in the game.
It could, on paper, be the best his morph has ever been, like the shapeshift.
I cannot
On paper, it could be the best it's ever been.
I cannot think. Outside of, like, the old days where some morph combos were, like, almost touch of death territory at the highest level, Shouts to Detroit Ballin. There are very few versions of Shang where the morph gives you this much reward, especially in a game where you can stun people on command, go into them, and then start to apply what they do. So I think with Shang, we're looking at a character that has the best zoning. Really, one of the best mids in the game. Which can equate to...
Old Man Forward 4 is
some of the best
is good.
Up close.
It's super good.
You know, if you're playing for a mid alone to deal with mashing or...
Well, again, especially if you've got Kung Lao Lohat, at any point of that, like, 5-hit safe mid, you just do it.
I saw someone in chat just now say Liu Kang has better zoning. Liu Kang, while he has good zoning, is not getting a full combo because a projectile hit you. Shang is the only character, when we look at the zoners in the game, Rain, Liu Kang, maybe some of the other characters like a Reiko or something because of the shuriken, but he's not a zoner. Shang hits a skull, you are getting full comboed for it.
Or side switched, sent back to full screen, or he's going to turn it into setup with Lohat, if he's playing Lao as well. And that's just one cameo
when you look at what Shang is doing at this level of play, I personally cannot see him anywhere else but top 5. Like, the more I think about it, and this is why I think this tier list is quite interesting, because we finally get to sit and talk about it.
I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time.
You've got things that you're thinking about it, but when you actually the words come out and you start to discuss, that's where everything changes. That sounds like Dinas. That's great. So Shang Tsung, I personally have him on the top 5, but Ashra and Melina, I'm going to be honest, chat. Jake probably feels differently to me, but for me, genuinely, I think Shang is more absolute top 5, in my opinion. And I find it harder to decide whether it was Raiden or Melina or Raiden. I genuinely think Shang has a better case for being top 5 than Raiden does. Because I look at what Shang has, and I feel like he's doing more than Raiden. What Raiden has is cheap. Like, Raiden's cheap. But does Raiden have a risk of being phased out? You know, Raiden's easier to pick up and play. Chat is correct. Shang Tsung does have, to be honest with you, of everyone up here, I would say Shang has the highest skill ceiling, because bouncing between the different versions of Shang is easier said than done. The combos are tricky. Kenshi is arguably harder to play. It really depends. But I feel like Raiden is the harder discussion, in my opinion. I think Mustard will probably disagree. But after these characters, who do we have next? Who do we put here? I feel like understandable placements in the A tier can belong to Kung Lao. And I also think we can put Reiko here. There he is. He's moved.
Hold that thought, I just knocked a bunch of cards up.
You okay?
Yeah, I just knocked a bunch of the cards up.
I said, and I've actually shifted, in my opinion, you might disagree, I think there's a better case for Shang being top 5 than Raiden, so I actually put Shang before Raiden.
I don't think we should care too much about exact orders.
I don't think we should care about exact order.
I think that's going into way too much detail.
But I think, you know, personally, I make sense. Now, in the to join
personally, I make sense.
I think that makes sense. I wanted to say.
All right, I was actually going to say next person to go into A has got to be Reiko. I think Reiko is really good in the right hands. I think his game plan is obvious. He is a basic character on paper, but it's effective. And I think the right kind of player is showing that he can be competitively quite the threat. I think Rewind is really kind of leading the charge on Reiko right now. Because obviously right now we're seeing a lot of Reiko Darius. And that's obviously really powerful, because then you take a grappler and you make his command grab a full combo starter, half-life confirm. If you've got Fatal Blow, 60%, 600 plus damage, whatever. Which I think is powerful. But even before we saw Darius, people were already saying, I think Reiko might be good, you know, because you had things like Serena turning back 3 into a confirm. Striker giving him decent, because obviously he's got one of the best projectiles in the game, for sure. Like, his shuriken toss is crazy. It does, like, what, 85 damage when they all hit? Normally, it's 3 highs, but that armor breaks, that if you've got anti-zoning options that can only absorb X amount of projectiles.
For me, is the biggest strength of the shuriken, is that he throws so many of them that they actually bypass things that would normally help you deal with projectiles. Armored moves, shuriken eats them for breakfast. Even things like Rain's water bubble, shurikens just make that not exist. So characters that have things that exist to deal with projectiles work as intended, but Reiko's shurikens are the one thing that just chews it up, and that will help him so much because he is a character that wants to get in and apply his own game. He has this one button that he can use at a range characters that would normally be difficult for him. He actually has an option that just shuts them down completely. A lot of characters don't have that.
Yeah, so he's a rush down mix up character that has a projectile that stops him being hard zoned by a good number of characters in the game that want to keep him there.
There are some zoners he zones with his own projectile.
And then obviously his, EX shuriken, we haven't even said, is like, it's all mids, and he throws like 5 of them, so that's pretty much going to win every projectile trade you could want. But what I do think makes things a little bit difficult for him is he's decent full screen because of projectile, he's decent point blank because of the plus frames he's got, the fast overhead, the low, the command grab when you establish it. There is that weird kind of range where he's kind of like sweep distance or just outside that he feels very difficult to utilize. Where you're supposed to be using things like back 3, forward 4, but it's kind of difficult to find those buttons sometimes, and when they whiff, he dies for it. So like that's what I mean when I say his game plan is basic, but not the easiest thing to enforce, but in the right hands it can be, right? When you are a player that can stop keep away from working, play the game at point blank most of the time, that's where he is just going to be scooping you. I don't even know if I
don't even know if I agree that there is a range that he feels weird to utilize.
I really think that is the case for him.
He's got back 3. He's got the best down 4 in the game. By far, he's got the best down 4 in the game.
His down 4 is the fact that down 4 into shuriken jails, so you can really kind of keep that being enforced whenever possible. But again, because his forward one's good, it's really short range. Now, 1, 2, 2, 1, very stubby. So you kind of have to find the way to play at that range as often as possible.
Now, we are talking about all of this stuff. We haven't talked about the damage he can obtain. Many people that follow competitive Mortal Kombat 1 have now already seen the Darius combination, where you can turn command grabs into a Darius kick, turn it into a full combo.
Oh, so just quick, sorry, it's down 4 EX shuriken jails, not just normal, sorry.
If you have Fatal Blow, obviously that turns a command grab into basically a Half-Life situation. The one thing we have to mention there, I do not think that's broken. Reiko is a character where the cameos can change his game plan. Darius is one plan, more damage. That is all Darius can give you. Yes, you can, in theory, do his sort of twirling kick, the back version.
You can
for range.
You can combo into the thing, and
you
then
can combo
overhead
into
low,
his overhead
but that's not
flip,
why people are picking him.
People are picking Reiko right now because they want to do command grab and they want to hit Darius cameo off it and turn it into a combo. Now, that is a more one-dimensional pairing. The reward is just gigantic. But you have to remember, if you're going for that EX command grab, it's 2 bars. If the opponent jumps on a read, you've lost 2 bars. You've eaten a jump in, a huge combo for their efforts, off a jump in to begin with, and now you can't break it. And if you're looking for it in a fatal blow situation, you're already 30% or less, that jump in's killing you. You've guessed the whole round, or in some cases, you've guessed the entire game on that. So I think it's very easy to look at stuff like that and be like, wow, this is broken. But you really do have to weigh up the cost of that situation.
If you see Reiko do 600 damage off a grab, it's because he spent EX command grab for 2, spent his 3rd bar to slide off of it for full meter spend, use all of Darius, because obviously the spin kick costs the entire cameo meter, and he's got a fatal blow, which I think, on paper, is pretty much the most resources you can spend on a single hit. You know, full bar, like full meter, full cameo, and fatal blow to get that damage. Yes, it's a huge amount of damage, but the fatal blow won't come back. Your cameo is on mad cooldown, and obviously you've lost all your bar.
I mean, if Reiko spends his whole meter and gets jumped on, he's Ian Beale. He's got nothing left.
I hate that.
Like, that's it. That's it. You know, wrap him up. But I think that one thing about Reiko too is that he can feel tricky to use if you're not experienced with that kind of archetype. Which also means that, look, some characters or some players aren't going to be able to make Reiko work because they're just not that kind of player. Reiko at the highest caliber, we're talking Rewind. You know, we're talking other players that have that brain for it, that can just it just clicks. They've got it with this character. That's where you start to see why Reiko will be higher up on the tier list.
We should probably speed up our explanations, I think. Otherwise, this is going to be like a 3-hour tier list.
All right. Well,
sorry, chat. We've just been playing a lot of the game. We've got a lot to talk about.
After that, I personally think Kung Lao is in a good spot here. I think Kung Lao has one of the best armored moves in the game. Only a few characters can punish it, and even with the right cameo, you still can't punish it.
No, Lao Goro, double Lao, Lao squared. I think there really are, like, he is an example of a character that when you don't have a cameo, you can see some real glaring weaknesses. But there are obvious cameos that just negate those entirely. You know, Goro turning his armor into a plus on block armored move that launches on hit.
Kung Lao with Kung Lao, getting safety, getting more pressure, getting more plus frames,
and
getting
hard
more
to blockables every time he hits the EX.
Hard to blockables.
The EX crumple, yeah. Like, this is a cool character, man. Like, he's got good, like, really good damage. Again, with Goro, a lot of safety. His offense really explodes. Like, I definitely can see him being A tier. I don't know if I'd ever see him getting any higher than this, but I definitely think that with the right pairing, that Kung Lao can be really scary.
The thing about Lao is, he's really, if you break him down, he's actually fairly simple.
Yeah.
But what he does is absurdly effective. So
and constant.
He has decent options up close. He can pair with some cameos to rather devastating effect because you then give him armored launcher, which does really good damage too. Some characters that combo off their armor, they don't really get much damage from it. He's still getting like almost 30%. Just whenever he wants, and that's really good, and it's more safe too. If he mistimes the cameo spacing, you're not going to punish him because his EX launcher is still not really unsafe. Only a few characters are getting a punish on that. So Kung Lao, I think he's very, very simple, but what he does is just so good for a competitive setting because he's got decent buttons, he's not too slow. You know, he's got decent movement, instant whiff dive kick. There's no recovery on that. You know, you whiff that dive kick anywhere on screen, he's blocking the second he lands. That's really annoying, and it's great for just closing in space in a pinch. But at the same time, decent damage. That reversal is just unbelievably strong. Not a huge amount to say about Kung Lao. It's just that what he does fits the game well right now. Outside of Kung Lao,
I'll tell you who else I think needs to go up there.
I'll tell you who I want to put up here.
So you go first.
I'll tell you who I want to put up here.
Be funny if we're thinking of the same character.
I think I'm going to get murdered for it.
I was going to say the same thing.
I think Tanya.
No, genuinely, Tanya was going to be my next suggestion as well.
I think she belongs up here.
I definitely think she's good. She's almost a lot of what we were just saying about Lao. You know what I mean? Like, put her with the right cameo, and she gets really scary.
Pair Tanya with the right cameo. What are you punishing?
Well, you have to remember, she also got...
What are you punishing?
She also seems to have got way better in the day one patch. Like, I don't know... I can't remember exactly what she was like before then, like, before we saw that patch. But, like, she gets her buff really quick now. It makes her standing 3 way better as a whiff.
She builds her buff, like, boom.
Yeah, it's instant. But again, you know, you put her with even Goro cameo. I feel like we're seeing Tanya Goro more than anything else. But it again, gives her good chip damage, safe chip, safe armored launcher, launches on hit when it doesn't normally because you could just use the punch to make everything work out. And that mid, my goodness.
She, in my opinion, if not the best mid in the game, top 3. I just feel like...
It's one of the best mids in the game, for sure.
I feel like she's got one of the absolute best mids in the game. It's extremely hit confirmable. If you give her the right cameo, you can't punish anything. Tanya with Goro gets an armored launcher. Nothing is unsafe. Everything will now launch. She can extend things without having to spend any meter.
It's also armor that moves you really far forward immediately, so you get out of a lot of situations where, you know, oh, you put it in the corner, oh, they've got you in some weird setup, armor comes out, you just move right out of it, and...
She's one of the few characters. She's one of the few characters that has incredible mobility from her armor as well.
I will say I don't know if I'm gonna have her be here like as the top 10 potential because there are other characters that I always think need to go up here too. But I definitely can see her.
I just think we should. I just wanted to get her in there and talk about Tanya now because I think that she's better than a lot of people think, and underrated is definitely a appropriate way of talking.
Well, she's not the most.
Just with the right pairing. She is obnoxious.
Well, we're already seeing it. You know, Vianelli, there was 2 Tanyas in top 8. You know, with Tanya Goro, both playing the same team, doing a similar kind of game plan. You know, and I think it's the kind. Obviously, Dragon. We saw Dragon doing well with Tanya Goro as well. I think Dragon was the first Tanya.
She's not going to hit like 500 damage off stuff, but when she hits you and she has, if you are, I have fought a decent amount of really good Tanya players. Shouts to.
Basic, man.
Do Basic. Shouts to True Meta, actually, is on Xbox. Shouts to the Xbox community. I fought some really good Tanyas, and I just look at this character and I feel, obviously playing them online, but also seeing the success with players in the recent tournaments that have been using Tanya. Vianality had a lot of Tanya too. I just think that if you've got a really strong neutral, and you are able to utilize those buttons that have the range, that have the either hit confirmability or whatever else, when she hits you, she doesn't tickle, right? Like, she hasn't got, let's not be deluded and say she's got low damage, because low damage is Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
When we say a character's got low damage, that's Sub-Zero, and no one else is doing that low damage, right? Some characters just might not be hitting like 50% onwards. But with a character like Tanya that has such potential to continue to hit you as often as she is, and also that up-close game, which is being aided by staggering the forward 2 string, being able to call in cameos afterwards, that's a lot of chip. That's a lot of chip damage. Unless you're flawless blocking everything up close, she's doing a lot of chip damage just on her own with strings, and that's something not to be underestimated. Do we think she's top 10? Not 100% convinced. If she is, she's 10. I think she's not going to be any higher than that. Well, I think she's this tier. I think she's not bad or weak. She's strong.
I don't really want to hyper focus on like top 5, top 10, just arbitrarily. Like, I don't really care about that. I just want to put them where I think it makes the most sense. You know, I feel like that's almost focusing on the wrong aspect. But on that note, I think, and I'm curious as to what you'll think about this, I genuinely think Havoc might need to go up here.
Oh yeah,
I think Havoc is a lot better than the kind of an immediate thought gave him credit.
Look, with the way Havoc works, he was either going to be...
He's cheap, dude. This character is mad cheap.
Havoc was either...
Mad cheap.
Havoc was either going to be cheap or he was going to be ass. He was going to be... he was going to be strong or he was going to be, without a shadow of a doubt, the worst character. It's just the way things have developed.
Well, it's because his kit is so weird. And that's, I think, what you were getting at, right?
He was either going to be good or bad. There was never going to be an in-between. I do not think Havoc can possibly be an in-between character. That's just not Havoc's style. He's
chaotic, man.
He's chaotic. He was either going to be right up there or he's going to be the worst character in the game.
But what makes him so strong, in my opinion, is his normals are really good. You know what I mean? Like, plus frames with no gap on tap. Obviously, special move utility is really, really interesting. We will talk about his unblockable because that's kind of, I would say, one of the main focuses about him. But his normals, you know what I mean? Like, he's got really good advancing mids. Decent low, you know, forward 4 by itself, forward 4 into 5 was not terrible. But just plus frames, you know, a lot of advantage. 2-1 is like, what, +7, +8, whatever it is. And when he's got you blocking, obviously he can just keep, you know, he kind of has that immediate effect to kind of go for that instant backdash into these really good advancing buttons, catch you, very hit confirmable. And then when he hits you, most of the time he's going to be turning it into respectable damage, I guess, but the EX roll for the ender. And that's the main thing. He is not going to be breaking like 400, 500 damage per touch. What he is going to be doing is getting to around the 300 mark at least, ending an EX roll. And then remember, when he hits you with EX roll, he tethers to you. I'm not going to say that that's unavoidable, but that is so weighted in Havoc's favor that he's probably going to be getting you with the reset.
Right now, the only way, realistically, to escape Havoc when he's tethered to you
is be in an armored state.
Either an armored state or you hit him.
Yeah.
If you hit him, it's gone. Havoc players right now are ending their combos really far away.
Yep.
Which means you're too far to hit him.
And there'll be ranges where your armor won't even reach. So the Havoc player just has to
range.
Just has to wait for you to get off the ground, wait for you to whiff armor, or just not do it at all, and then he just goes for it. And then he can get from full screen using his decent movement and his really far advancing buttons into a, granted, heavily scaled combo, but damage nonetheless.
Delayed wake up's only going to work as well in a situation where you expect Havoc to do it straight away.
Yeah, which the Havoc player has no reason to do.
He has no reason to instantly do it.
Yeah.
Because if he instantly does it, delayed wake up beats it, some armor can beat it. If you're at full screen after a combo ender, why would Havoc do that when he can wait and see what he's done. Because an extra element to that is the opponent will do an armored move. It gets blocked. And at that point, Havoc doesn't have to use the next snap. Why would he do that? Because he's now going to scale it when he has a free punish.
Oh yeah, that is like the best scenario when,
So
when you're getting
layer.
that's when you're getting like even more value out of it. Is when you tether to him, stand at a range that armor reaches. They do the armor because he's going to do it straight away. You block the armor, and now you just ignore the next snap, and you just do a standing punish instead.
There's
for,
no
like,
need to.
way loads of damage. Now, one thing about that playstyle though is EX roll for the setup. It costs 2 bars. It is very expensive. But let's look at the 2 cameos we're mainly seeing paired with him right now. Cyrax, who gives him loads of meter, because you could do things like 1-1 jails into torso spin with no gap. You can call Cyrax on like the second hit of the spin, and now it builds way more bar, becomes completely safe, and he can just do that whenever he wants, right? His EX armor, you can call Cyrax, and you get a lot of the bar back that you just spent on it, right? Obviously, I know he's got the meterless armor. His armored option isn't amazing because it's extremely slow. Like, they have to hard overcommit to get hit by it. So I'm not even factoring that in here. The main thing, though, is Cyrax builds him the bar he needs to play around the EX roll, which he can then constantly threaten you with annoying unblockables. His neutral game is annoying, and that's where Sub-Zero cameo helps him, because if you put on ice armor, he now can't be hit by projectiles, and he's summoning all of his weird ones at will, where he's got the one that kind of, it's a high, but it goes at a weird slow angle where you can run up with it.
The weird
kind of zigzag one, yeah, that's, if you're close enough, they can't really avoid that. Doing all that with sub-ice armor is super annoying, because it just means your neutral is just, he's there with this ice bulletproof vest on, and he's just causing all these weird projectiles.
He's forcing you to play a bullet hell arcade game.
Yeah, pretty much.
You've got shit coming out from everywhere, and it's really, really hard to see. Some of it's flawless blockable, but that projectile that just does that is, you can flawless block it, but it's a bit weird. It's just, he's unique, but efficiently unique. And it was, as I said, he was either going to be bad or good. Right now, I definitely think he's on the side of good. Tournament results are reflecting that. We've only seen a handful of top 8s right now, and Havoc's been in every single one of them. Not online, of course. Online, there's probably been some other ones.
But that's not to say he hasn't got his drawbacks, right? He does have, I'd say, outside of Cyrax cameo, his damage isn't super high. He does need a lot of bar to do what's the most effective about him.
He does have more health.
Yes, he has got a lot more HP than usual, which helps him. He's a zombie, you know what I mean? Or not literally a zombie, but you know what I'm saying. He goes through it. He's
Man ain't covered in scars for a reason. But
yeah.
I personally think
like
that Havoc's kind of in a good place there.
Who else do you think has to go in A tier? Because I'm seeing some potentials, but I'm not 100% sure.
I'm seeing a character I think's A tier for sure is Liu Kang.
Yeah, you think?
I think Liu Kang's good as hell.
I don't know if I agree with this.
I think Liu Kang, he is damn good.
I did think he was underrated for a while, but the more the game's going on, the more I'm not seeing him. I don't see him being up there with the rest of them right now. I'd have him high B, personally.
I don't know, because I think of
other characters I would have put up here, like Rain, Gearus, perhaps. I don't know if Liu Kang is up there with the rest of them.
I disagree, because I play Liu Kang as well.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think he's bad, but I wouldn't have him up here with the rest of A tier.
He has one of the most hit confirmable mids in the game, one of the best mids in the game.
Yeah, but it's like minus.
I think
the finish string isn't really real.
He has an incredibly good projectile game.
Yeah, his neutral is incredible. His neutral's very good.
Really good anti-air potential. He has incredibly good damage.
His damage output is good, I'll give you that.
And with certain cameos, a character that has some of the strongest fundamentals in the entire game, with the right cameo, Liu Kang becomes really cheap. Liu Kang with Kung Lao cameo is absolutely super cheap.
I can see the synergy. I just don't know if I see him being A tier. Looking at the other characters that are up
We're
here.
going to disagree over this.
No, we're definitely going to disagree.
This is the first time we've disagreed.
No.
But I honestly think that if you give Liu Kang the right cameo, you take a character that is fundamentally great, but the weakness was not enough cheap stuff, and you give him cheap stuff.
I see the logic. I just don't think we've seen it in gameplay
Liu
yet.
Kang with Striker is annoying. Liu Kang with Kung Lao is annoying. Any ambush that can just cover any unsafe stuff you were doing, and now you become safe or plus, and now you've got a hit confirmable mid, you've got loads and loads of different combo potential, and with the right cameo as well, he gets that huge damage without having to spend any of his own meter that can be spent on a really good projectile, or sometimes just a combo breaker. You know, I honestly think, in my personal opinion, right, I think Liu Kang is A tier. I don't think he's, you know, he's not the broken, but he can be really, really good.
I'm just going to interrupt for 1 second and say, Makwakwa, thank you very much for the 5 gifted. I appreciate that, my friend. Of course, I know we've had a few resubs and primes and stuff, so thank you very much, everyone, for the support. And sorry that we're not being as interactive with chat. It's just obviously big conversation going on. But thank you so much for the support. We really, really do appreciate it. I can see the logic in what you're saying. I see it on paper, but I haven't seen it in
I
gameplay
play
yet.
Liu Kang. I've been doing this to everyone.
That's what I think has me unsure, is I'm not really seeing anyone play him at all. You know, like I feel like I don't know any Liu Kang players that played him in like X or whatever that are, or 11, that are actually still playing him. I feel like everyone's moved on to other characters, and for me, that makes it a lot harder to see him represented. I still disagree. I think he should be high B, but
fine. We're going to put him down there, but let it be known, I personally disagree.
I mean, maybe we'll move him around again.
You know what I'm going to do? After we do this tier list, I'm going to beat you with Liu Kang Kung Lao, and I'm going to change your mind.
I'm not saying he's bad. I just don't think he's A tier.
I tell you what we're going to do, stream, after this tier list, we're going to run it.
We are.
That's what we're going to do.
Who I think has to go in A tier, personally, in my humble opinion, I think Rain. I think Rain is good. I think Rain is really good in this game.
I think Rain is... I mean, I play the character.
He definitely has drawbacks.
So I want to hear your opinion first.
Because I'm the opinion of someone that's fought against him, and you're the opinion of someone that plays him.
Did you get any pizza?
Yeah.
Why do you talk...
Why? No. We're doing this first.
Right.
No.
Right.
You are not taking a break.
All right.
We're finished.
Sorry.
We're doing this.
Sorry, stream. I'm hungry.
And then we'll take a break, and then we'll do the cameo tip.
Yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah, that works.
I can live with that.
I was talking about Rain. You just out of nowhere. Did you get pizza?
No,
I was like, why are you asking me
I'm just
that?
thinking. I'm just thinking.
Think it out loud.
Look,
Pizza on the brain.
when people say Rain is bad, thoroughly disagree.
No. I don't think he's bad by any means.
I think Rain's good.
I think we need an A-. That's what I think we need. Because I don't think Lu's near Sub-Zero. I think we need an A-.
I thought the whole point.
Chat, do we need an A-? I think we.
We'll break it up as we go, because
maybe.
Right. Gearus, we still haven't even talked about Gearus yet. Rain is in a...
Yeah, so you're asking me what I think about Rain.
An interesting spot. We got some characters we can still possibly have around here.
Yeah. What
do you think about Rain? And I want to see if I disagree.
So I think Rain is... for me, I think, again, it's... If you look at him by himself, I can see hella weaknesses, but cameos make up for that big time. I know we're saying that about a fair few characters, but it is very true for him. Because Sub-Zero Ice Armor means he suddenly can't be... Basically, he is the one keeping you out.
You can't zone him.
Yeah, you can't zone him. And when you can't throw projectiles at Rain, his neutral is so annoying to get in on. Whether it's like... and he can set up the armor easily. He get you blocking one thing. He can do like Weather Ball and call the armor while he's doing it, and boom, by the time you've blocked it, he's covered it. He can threaten the straight shot, and when he goes for a straight shot, even if it whiffs, ice armor is on it. You know what I mean? He has the means to make you stay still, so he can safely apply it. And then when he's got you, Sub-Zero, for example, does give him setup potential. I know the setup's not 100% real, but you just have the ability to force them to block something. You can side switch with that. You can let them block the portal and then just take some advantage and, you know, just go for a mid or whatever. Or you can go for the, you know, the overhead into low puddle stuff, which if they don't know what they're doing is obviously, or they haven't seen it, it can catch them out into really good damage. But even then, you can always just use Sub-Zero cameo to extend into respectable damage. And that's the thing, Rain, he doesn't do low damage in this game. I think he's doing like above average for a lot of like what he's going to be hitting you with regularly. Obviously, Scorpion lets him launch off his armor. Sub-Zero lets him basically extend anything with the charge shot and then roundhouse into whatever. Like, he's really working well with these options.
Rain can be really effective with...
Also normals, his range. His like down 2, his jump 2, his forward 2 is a good mid.
Rain's normals do not have as much distance as you would assume.
No, but those normals in particular, I think.
But his down 3's got good range. His forward 2 is kind of stubby, but good for that hit confirm situation. Excuse me. He's got one of the best down 2s in the game.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about Rain, which has me concerned, is his potential matchups. But I have not played this game enough yet to have a really solid opinion on what his matchups are. There are some characters I fought with Rain, and I feel like this is really hard, no matter what cameo I'm playing. However, even in those instances, I'll play a new cameo and use a different move, like a Scorpion Retreat Spear or something, and it feels more manageable just through that alone. And that's just layer 1 of discovering a matchup. So I think Rain is a good character.
Do you think he's
Do
A or
I
B?
think he is in the same tier that you would have some of these other characters? I don't know yet. I feel like Rain has the potential to struggle in some matchups here. But that also might be my own inexperience talking, because I can't say for sure what Rain's matchups are. And Rain's my most played character. And that's the nature of why we're calling this the way too early tier list, because there is so much more.
He got really comfortable with the Rain Smoke, the Rain Baraka, the Rain Johnny Cage matchups, but obviously there's a whole roster here.
I think there's a whole roster of characters I've barely fought with Rain so far. Would I put Rain in A tier though? That's where I'm not sure. A is the highest I would put him.
But you still don't know if you'd put him up there.
Well, do I think Rain is better than Geras, for example? Haven't had a Geras yet.
I fought against Omega K yesterday with Geras. I think Geras can be quite solid. Obviously, we've seen Forever King play a lot of Geras. We have seen sub Geras. I don't think Geras is like an obvious top pick. I definitely would like to put Geras in A though. I think Geras has definitely got potential to be up there.
I tell you what, Geras is a safer bet for this than Rain, because when people talk about Rain at the moment, and one of the reasons Rain is, from what I'm seeing people say, underrated, and I don't mean that sarcastically, people are saying Rain is underrated right now because he's got that Sub-Zero set play.
That's where I think we need an A-. I really do.
Or an S-.
Nah, I wouldn't say
to
that.
be honest.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think A-.
Dear. But no, yeah, maybe an A- would help. Is that even a thing that tier lists have? Because the gap between A and B feels too big.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think we need an A-.
The gap really, really, really just... I'm not sure about that. But...
A+? A+ might make a bit more sense, actually.
A+ makes more sense than S-.
I know what you mean. I
You
know there'll be
mean.
those of you watching
I
going,
know there's like
what
no
is the
difference.
point?
I know there's like no difference there, but it does make more sense.
Hang on.
But
Let's do it.
I will say for sure that... What was I going to say for sure? It's already gone. The information's gone. What was I saying?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I was on my train of thought and I completely lost it.
Okay, well, this is going to be A+. Alright. So who are we putting in A+?
Melina, Ashra. Yep. Would we put Kung Lao there, I think?
I don't know. Now
that's
we've
the thing.
introduced A+. Now I don't know.
Now we've introduced the gap between...
Because now we're
A
putting
and
him up
S.
here, and I think we're definitely putting him here. But where are the rest going?
Yeah, because Tanya
We've
wouldn't-
changed the game.
Tanya definitely wouldn't be up one. I think Tanya's fine.
I think Lao could be.
Lao could be.
I think Havoc. I legitimately think Havoc might be up there.
You reckon?
I honestly think so.
I don't see anyone else in the roster that should be up with the rest of them, though. So this is where we go. This is where things change. The increase of the layers, things do make a little bit more sense to me. But
We need an A+-.
this means we have... That means we're saying right now our top 10 is the two up top. Are we putting Havoc in our top 10? Do we think Havoc is a top 10 character?
I don't know.
Do we think Havoc is top 10 over...
You see, chat, this is why we don't normally do way too early tier lists.
I mean, it's a good chance for us to sit and talk about it.
No,
And
I'm enjoying it.
If anyone watching this on YouTube right now puts a comment down saying it's a tier list and they can barely make up their mind, that's why it's a way too early tier list, because there's not enough information, really, in my opinion, because there could be some stuff with Geras discovered tomorrow that shoots him into S tier.
By the time this gets uploaded, we might disagree with it.
We might have this be live and have some differences. But that's why this kind of early tier list is... It's a different kind of discussion that, I'm not going to lie, I am enjoying it. But that has to now think, this has established a clear top 10. Do we think Havoc is in that top 10? There's probably some people, I've already seen some people in chat, they don't think Reiko's in top 10. Supposedly, Rewind says that he thinks that Reiko's in B tier. But everyone says that about their main.
Wow.
Why do you think I've got range so low, bro?
The main thing about Reiko is, I think I think I'm not gonna go back to him because we talked about him at length. I can see him having the more like counterplay options against him.
For the record, I consider Reiko the Rewind the best Reiko.
If he's not up here, he is at worst at the top of this. At worst at the top of this.
Yeah, now it looks like he's too low.
That's the point. That's the way a cookie crumbles, my friend.
It looks like he's too low now.
But we don't need a top 10. We don't need these arbitrary numbers. Top 5, top 10, because people will still be like, wow, Reiko's still top 10.
There are 10 characters in S and A+. That was by pure description a top 10.
Whatever. Who's next?
All right.
We can still move them around. Do we like this so far?
We actually haven't talked about Geras.
No, we haven't. So I think Geras has really good damage output, solid neutral, but the main thing is the low health does hurt him. Because it also limits what cameos I think he can realistically pair with himself. Because if he gets any of those cameos that lower his health even more, that's a problem for him.
Yeah.
Because having 100 less health than normal in this game, excuse me,
you're asking for trouble.
You are asking for trouble. You know, because that turns Baraka into a straight up 2-touch character.
Natara and Kano work really well together, but you'll rarely see them paired because she'll get 850 health.
I mean, Natara Goro, right, had the same problem. I know Deoxys was playing Natara Goro for a while, but then you got 850 health. That's not a lot of HP to have in this game. But I think Geras, though, his command grab is very scary. I was playing against Omega K, who had setups, practical setups, like real legit setups that turned command grab into like a 400, 500 damage combo starter with Geras Frost of all things, and that was hella legit, like really, really solid.
I feel like with Geras there is just so much more left for us to see that might eventually have him higher.
He's got the rewind, like the 1-bar breaker that you have to chase him down for.
That annoying, stupid move where he copies himself.
Yeah, that I haven't even seen that explored yet. He's got the the finger snap neutral to just stun you from full screen. His stun in general is really good because you can't break in the middle of it. If he freezes you time stop, you can't break.
That mid?
Yeah, so his
that mid
his
he's
back
got?
one. Yeah, like Geras is just, I think the longer this game goes on, the more solid he will become.
Underrated strength, an armored move that if the opponent is even slightly airborne, he turns it into a launcher without needing cameo.
Also, his back movement is very good. And he's got those pokes where you can't whiff punish the poke because he hits you with sand. You can't hit the sand. And if you go into the sand, he hits you.
I honestly feel like Geras has possibly more tools.
I think maybe I want to put him up a one bit.
Than almost anybody. But the game is too early for us to really see what he is capable of. We can see already the basics and how he can work with the basics. Got a decent mid. His armor could be really strong. Like, genuinely really strong. In some matchups where they'll do something that, if their foot even touches, like, leaves the ground, and that armor hits, the game counts them as airborne, and now he gets a launcher, right?
Yeah.
So, there's definitely that. He's got really good combo damage. He has so much setup. So much setup. I just really think that at the moment, the game is just too early for us to see all of this in motion.
Also, the unbreakable damage helps him, because by the time you can break, you have to make that very ugly decision of, oh, do I want to break the rest of this?
Which he did have in MK11.
Yeah, which was good there too, but that was breakaway, right? This is straight up combo breaking. You still can't get out of it. No, I think Geras is very powerful. I'll tell you who I want to put up here, and I genuinely believe this, but I fear it may piss people off, but hey, it's my opinion. I think Katana goes here as well. I think
played an exceptional amount of Katana, to be fair.
I have played a lot of Katana myself, but I've also seen quite a bit of her. You know, Dragon's still playing her. I've seen other players using her as well. Like Katana Sub-Zero is getting lots of damage. I play Katana Cyrax. Katana Sonya is actually still quite good. I've heard Katana Goro is good, but I think this version of Katana is so much better than we were getting before. I think there are definitely players that are still hyper-focused on what she was like in the beta, and not realizing the fact that that new projectile she got, you know, the down back 3, the arcing fan that kind of curls around in a circle and goes behind them or can hit them, you can't jump on that at all. It does 80 damage. She ducks down when she does it, so you can go under their projectiles when doing it. It's really hard to jump at her because it will hit you out of the air almost anywhere. And if you are slacking when it goes to the other side, it can clip you in the back while you're moving forward, and she can combo from it, or she can get a lot of block pressure from it. And there are definitely there are definitely characters in this game, like cameos, that are giving her really good damage. You know, a lot of meter build, screen positioning at will. I think she's solid. I really do. I think Kitana is definitely one of the characters that is being underplayed right now, in my opinion. And I wouldn't feel like it was right putting her any lower than this because of what she is capable of doing. I haven't seen her get any... I think she's a bit rough to play into Sub-Zero cameo. I think if you suddenly take her projectiles away in neutral, she gets way worse. So if anything brings her down, it will be the presence of things like Sub-Zero cameo. But I think she's solid. I really do. At least as it currently stands, anyway.
But she'll have to be fighting against someone that works really well with sub-armor.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. The thing about dealing with projectiles in this game, it's not just a matter of pick sub-cameo and now you're beating this keep away character. Because you might be playing a character that really struggles with things fundamentally that you need certain cameos to fix, and Sub-Zero actually might not fix that. So that's an interesting situation to be in. I think Kitana, yeah, I've seen some really good stuff from this character. You'll have more of an opinion than me because obviously you play Kitana a lot at the moment, and actually Kitana and Cyrax is one of your stronger pairings, I find.
No, it's definitely a fun team to play in general, but I mean, again, it's just utility, extra projectile threat, decent positioning. Because the net lasts so long, you can get them exactly where you want them to be every time you get it. Like, you can get to full screen, side switch, whatever, and also get nice damage. Like, Kitana Cyrax is hitting 500 damage meterless in the corner off of like very standard confirms.
Very few characters are getting 500 damage meterless.
Yeah, meterless 500 damage straight up, and they're not unpractical. Like, you just have to hit them in the corner.
I got to point out as well, some people in chat are really losing their minds over this. You're more than welcome to do it.
Chat, it's our opinion. It is an opinion. That's all it is. It's our opinion.
It's our opinion on the game with really only as much time as 3 weeks can give you.
I know, we are allowed to be wrong. If it ends up not being this way, well, all right, fair enough. And if it's almost like it's week 3.
And if you're watching this on YouTube and you're getting really mad at it, the title of the video is the way too early tier list, right?
There's nothing definitive about this.
There's nothing set in stone.
Definitive.
Things could be different the day after this video goes live, you know. It's the nature of a new game where there's just so many players picking all these different characters. People are going to find stuff, and we're going to see new tournaments and everything else. So just, look, keep it in mind. Don't take it too seriously. This is just a very rough draft of where our minds are at the moment. However, that said, here...
I'll tell you who I think I'm going to put in B tier, who I definitely think has to go down there.
There's a character I'm not sure about putting in A to join the rest, because I don't think she's struggling in the right hands. But we need to see how what she does can thrive.
Well, we'll get to that, because right now I'm putting Natara in B. I think Natara, I don't know, because there has definitely been a decent amount of very good players trying her out, but she is, I would say, one of the few characters in the game. I haven't seen a single person that is maining this character say they think she's good. Like, she's not useless by any means. Like, she's got her air dash movement is unrivaled. She's the only one in the game with an air dash, period. I think she definitely has her strengths, you know, like really good mobility in general. She's almost impossible to pin down, but the low HP, and I feel like she has to put herself at risk to obtain damage. That when she has to put herself at risk constantly, obviously more risk, less health. I mean, do the math, right? It's kind of difficult for her. I feel like she has some uses. I mean, I also don't have a lot of experience fighting against this character yet, because I've seen people play her. I haven't played against her myself. I haven't played as her myself. This is definitely a very, like, opinion-driven placement. But the main thing that gets me is, I don't think, again, I haven't seen a single Natara player say they think she's good. Like, she has problems. I always hear Natara players saying, like, in the patch she needs this, in the next patch she needs that. You know what I mean? Like, people don't seem to be very satisfied with how she is currently.
When you look at a character like Natara, what is Natara's thing that makes her what she has collectively? She's the lowest health of anyone in the game. Now, she has mobility for days. Doesn't have really that much range. But this kind of character is normally designed to be extreme glass cannon. And why are they a glass cannon? Because they have mix-ups all over the place, loads of arguable, like, unseeable stuff.
Well, also the fact that she heals. That's
all
the main
over the
thing.
place.
She literally heals herself.
And she can heal. Is what she's doing right now enough to warrant the low health? Have we seen Natara players build a massive game plan around the healing? Have they been doing it? Have I just not seen it? Like, I'm going to be honest, I don't really feel like I know enough about Natara to place her anywhere.
But we've got to put her somewhere.
But she's got to go somewhere. I'm just seeing a lot of people say that she's got too low health for what she has. If she hasn't got a lot of range.
If we were going down the road of just having a tier, which is just like question mark, like, I don't know, we'd put her there. But people subscribed for this tier list, so we're putting them somewhere.
She also she does take damage to initiate the heal, which is one element to her that is another one that's a bit unsure, because, you know, she hurts herself. A glass cannon character hurts herself to then take some health. How much can she gain? Then maybe we should look into her later on tonight, actually.
Yeah, I definitely want to know more about her,
I'm gonna be
because
honest,
of the entire
for me,
roster, I feel the most uncomfortable knowing her.
Deoxys is like... Deoxys, for me, is the execution master. A fiddly, hard-to-use character. Give him to Deoxys, and Deoxys will make magic happen.
But Deoxys has been proper, like, dooming about this character.
Deoxys has done a lot of, I don't like this character, I play her because she's fun, but I don't think she's that great. You have to kind of take that with a pinch of salt, because how much of that is frustration as well, because you look at these
also,
other characters.
Deoxys is a sick player, right? Like, Deoxys spent years playing Blue Beetle.
One of the best.
Like, I would say
best.
inventing the most effective style of Blue Beetle, right? In Injustice 2. Like, Deoxys loves this kind of character, but doesn't seem to be having a great time with her.
I just have to be completely transparent that of all characters in this tier list, I am the most uncomfortable placing Natara, because she hasn't really been... do we know enough about her
I'll tell you
yet?
who you and I have seemingly forgotten about, but definitely needs to go out worst in A, in my opinion. I think Sindel is sick.
I was going to talk
I
about
think
a couple of
Sindel
others.
is sick
I
in this
was
game.
talking about some other characters that I would put in A
I would
tier.
say here, probably.
I think Sindel is... Like, week 1, I was seeing people say Sindel sucks, she got no damage. You just needed time. I think people just needed time. Because I'm seeing players, even like Koizi, for example.
Koizi's got a sick Sindel.
I'm seeing players with Sindel now, and they're doing stuff that, look, we weren't seeing that in early access. You know what I mean?
They were not week 1 combos.
we weren't seeing any of that. So, and yes, yeah, Sindel does have a touch of death against Geras if she has Shujinko cameo. I feel like Geras versus
I think Shujinko against Geras gives most characters, like...
Yeah, that just seems to really help. But no, I think Sindel is, at the very least, a damn good character.
Dude, I might even put her A+. I don't know. I think she's really good. And she's everywhere. So if you watch Tampa Never Sleeps, there's like 2 or 3 Sindels in top 8 every week. In fact, we're going to watch Tampa Never Sleeps tonight. There's probably going to be at least 2 Sindels in that top 8.
But yeah, I mean, look, Sindel... She wasn't going to be discovered like within the first couple of weeks. You know, week 3 now, we're on beyond that. We're entering a point where, you know, we're starting to see more of, like, you know, more optimized combos. Different cameos are being discovered for their usefulness. So Sindel is aiding towards that as well. She's actually one of the characters that does genuinely work really well with Serena.
I really want to play more of her. She looks really fun as well, Sindel. She's like really sick roots and kind of tricky looking combos, but like it's not just all flash. Like it's a lot of substance too. One thing is that the cameo, like when she steals your cameo, has anyone actually seen that used in the game yet?
I've seen them in combos. Not the cameo steal, sorry.
No. The self cameo buff, sure. I don't think I've ever seen Sindel steal someone's cameo in a real game. I feel like when we saw that on paper, we were like, oh wow, that's gonna be broken. But it isn't really something that's seeing too much use.
I don't think that kind of move was ever going to be paramount to her gameplay. It was just going to be an extra thing.
It shouldn't be paramount. Can you imagine if she was stealing your cameo and turning it off in every round? She would ruin the game to fight. Like she would be so anti-fun if she was like turning off your cameo and stealing it in every game. It's probably for the best that she isn't doing that, really. But I think she's really good. I think she's mad solid, and I think the more we see people get comfortable with her and like really optimize the routes and get really good at the instant air fireballs. We're talking about strong keep away. Sindel has really good keep away. If you've got someone with a crisp execution on her instant air fireballs, that is difficult to navigate around. And the people are only going to get better at doing instant airs. It's not like people will just get worse. You know, they're going to be dealing with the lowest to the ground fireballs all the time.
I feel like Sindel will just become scary all the time.
I kind of want to put her in A+, but I think that might be a bit too much. I definitely want to put her in... Oh...
Do you think she's better than Reiko at least?
I think she's got...
You've at least done that.
I think she's got an argument for it. We'll leave it like that for now. For now, we'll leave it like that.
I love how you said there's no set order, but you're like, no, it doesn't look right.
But you know what I mean, though.
It doesn't look right.
I'm kind of having my cake and eating it in this respect. You know what I'm saying?
But, I understand. Another character in A, and I think we're running shorter now on the A tier characters.
It's getting harder to place the A's, yeah.
But we have to remember, with this kind of list, A tier for me is like just good, and they're good for me. In regards to that, and I think I might get killed for this. I think someone's gonna wanna kill me. May.
I don't care.
I think
unless you're not talking about me.
If we're
why would I have a problem with that? I don't care.
If we're putting a character like Liu Kang, if we're putting Rain or Liu Kang or Kitana in this tier, I see Li Mei in that same lane, at least.
I would have been like, what are you talking about? But I know, especially over the last, I would say 2 days.
This is over the last few days.
Yeah, genuinely over the last 2 days, there's been somewhat of a surge of Li Mei, I feel, where people are starting to really look at her and look at the pairings with, like, Goro, with Scorpion, with anyone that's turning her really good strings that don't normally lead to much into full combo paths, into good damage. So she's able to play around always being plus. Obviously, she can punish... The fact that she can punish with EX flip kick and combo from it means that she's full combo punishing down one.
And I must mention as well, flip kick punish into Scorpion's up flame. I was seeing people say, how are you ever going to get that? Because you have to call Scorpion first. You don't. If you have nailed that input, you can call flip kick and Scorpion up flame at the same time.
Yep.
And that being one input is an input that a master of that character will learn. And they're learning it for those situations. And it ain't just punishing down ones so that Li Mei's getting that flip kick from.
I mean, it's the go-to example because they're all -7, right?
If there is a special move that is safe against everyone, but,
how fast
slightly
is the
minus.
Is it 7 or is it 6?
I believe it might be different to what it once was.
I actually have it open right now in the background.
We can double check.
I'll just quickly check.
I actually am unsure if it got like a frame slower or something, but it is still fast enough to punish you down one, so it's at least 7 frames.
But you have to remember, like, doing a reversal special means you can punish a -7 move with a 7-frame special move. You just can't do it with a 7-frame button.
Into a 40% combo.
I know you can't see this, chat. I'm just doing this in the background just so we have access to the numbers.
But my point is, she's got very efficient ranged game. Really, really efficient. If you pair her with something like Kung Lao Cameo, she covers all different areas.
Right, so flip kick is 7.
7
so if I set him to reversal...
You don't need to... Are you looking for the armored reversal? We're looking at Kung Lao's armored reversal, which is... I can't remember the exact frame data.
-7 on block.
-7. I don't know if it'll be fast enough. We'll find out. This is more of those things.
Yep.
No. Kung Lao gets reversal punished on his armored launcher. Which is something that most characters cannot answer back for. Anyway, we can turn that off now, because that noise is going to get annoying.
Yeah, sorry.
My point with Li Mei, though, is... At the moment, with the right cameo pairing that can take what she does and make it better, I actually think she's got potential to be damn good. But... her weakness surrounding her gaps remains to be seen.
Yeah.
She has possibly some of the highest concentration of gaps in her offense than any character has.
Which is a lot of strings, right? A lot of strings you'd want to use.
And the more people learn the game and get really comfortable with turning their armor into a launcher, because the meta is already developing for that people are looking at.
Tanya's doing it, Lao is doing it.
Gaps can become very scary, and they are becoming scarier the more the game is progressing, because armored launchers are getting more usable, and that's where things are starting to, we'll see, because Scorpion cameo works perfectly with Li Mei. Some cameos are good for filling gaps. Will they work for Li Mei the same way? Time will tell. We need to see more Li Mei at that level, because I do not think she's a bad character. And even then, we're talking like she's up close. With the right cameo, I really want to see the development. I know Foxy Grandpa is using a lot of Li Mei with Kung Lao at the moment, and it looks really, really hard to defend against because air is covered by Lantern, ground covered by straight projectile, low, or the ground is now being covered by Lao's low hat, the low hat of which can give her pressure, can fill some of those gaps because you can release low hat when they would normally armor interrupt. She has some overheads that now you've got the existence of a low that you can let rip whenever you want. So I want to see more Li Mei, but I am personally a believer in this character at the moment, and that is why I personally think she is at least A. You know, better than that, we'll have to see. We'll have to see the right
My
player.
issue is, again, I know who else I want to put in A, and I don't know if I think she's there with them. But again, you know, it's early enough where we can't get hung up on it
I'm a
forever.
firm believer. I'm a firm believer in Li Mei. And I think she's in a decent place there. Maybe in a few months' time, you know.
You've played a lot of Scorpion. Where are we putting Scorpion?
I'm putting him in A.
Yeah?
Yep.
Well, go ahead.
I'm absolutely putting him in A. Although I personally think he is the final character to go there.
You think?
Who's left?
Smoke,
Shao Kahn, General Shao, and Reptile.
I think Reptile's probably A. I would not want to put Reptile any lower than A. I definitely think Reptile is there.
Scorpion, let's talk about Scorpion first.
Yeah.
Scorpion is more dependent on cameos than most. If we were basing characters on their own merits...
Oh, he'd be way down there if he was by himself.
He would plummet. In my opinion, if we did this without looking at cameos, which to be fair is not a discussion because this game is cameos.
Yeah, like this game is played with cameos.
Scorpion would be, Scorpion would be bottom 5 if he didn't have cameo pairings. But with the right cameo, Scorpion can be highly, highly, highly efficient. Mostly because, look, he still plays like Scorpion. He's got incredible mobility. His dash speed is super, super, super good. His combo damage isn't too shabby now, as it
No, he's
turns
got
out.
good damage. He has good damage in this game.
The problem Scorpion has is his weaknesses are more apparent than most. He is highly dependent on cameos that can make things safer, and how long those things will exist, we'll have to see. Like, Scorpion, his mid is one of the absolute worst mids in the game. Like, that you cannot dispute that. He has one of the absolute worst mids. The string, it's not even a string, just block the forward 3 and he dies, right?
If he,
So he needs to do a single hit mid into a special to cover it. And if you're doing that, you need a special to make that safe.
Or cameo, sorry.
Or a cameo.
Basically, his options are so
make it
forward 3 is his mid, which obviously forward 3 is it forward 3-2 for the launcher?
Yeah.
Yeah, so forward 3-2 is a safe on block launch, but the launches are high and you can duck it and kill him for it. His only way of stopping you doing that is to go forward 3 into the spin, the flurry, whatever you want to call it, which is also very minus on block. So basically, you can't really confirm that mid. You just have to either know it's going to hit or know it's going to be blocked and go for one or the other. Now, if you go for the flurry, it dies on block. So you need a cameo, like we see Cyrex and Sector, I think, are actually the two we mainly see with him, which is kind of appropriate because of Link Way storyline, whatever.
My favorite is Sector, because Sector does actually address that in some ways. If you pair him with Sector, you can time...
Up Rocket makes it safe.
Up Rocket will make the death spin safe the same way Cyrax does.
Because Cyrax's chopper's on reacting,
Cyrax chopper is just more immediate, whereas Sector missile can actually give you the exact same situation. I just think that Scorpion, what he does well is the teleport in the right hands. No other character in this game has a teleport like that.
But he's still a whiff punishing monster. He's still a reactionary player's like best friend.
If you are an absolute beast at just reacting, he does have a lot of tools that help that. Standing 2 reaches really far. 2-1 incredibly confirmable. 2-1 is confirmable and it's safe. Standing 2 reaches super, super far distance. His anti-air game ain't too shabby. Standing 1 has a nice hitbox on it. It's fast.
His standing 2 is insane. His standing 2 is really good.
There are some moves that aren't so good, potentially, like his back 3. With the right cameo, that can be okay for range, but it can be slow. It's vulnerable to being jumped in on. Spear is very, very fast. His whiff punish game is absolutely fantastic. And I can't think of a single character in this game that has a teleport as good as Scorpion's in the right hands. EX teleport, instant air EX teleport, can punish things on reaction. It can punish projectiles. You can go into air buttons from that. It's easy to confirm. I just think that Scorpion...
And on block, you just do like a jump kick.
Yeah, exactly.
And take advantage
you do
instead.
a jump kick and you're still at advantage. So I feel like Scorpion... I can't comfortably say I think he's a weak character. I don't think he's insane, and he's very, very dependent on cameos. So if the cameos that he uses, if the cameos that he relies on get nerfed, he might be in trouble, right? Because if all the cameos that Scorpion uses the best get nerfed in patches, and Scorpion kind of stays where he is, I feel like he's in a bit of trouble, right?
It's difficult to make that point though, because obviously we don't know what's going to happen to the game. They could nerf or buff anything. They could leave it as is for months. Like, we generally have no way of knowing. But as it currently stands, I'm happy with him being an A.
With the right cameos, he's really good.
I'll tell you who I think
he just has concerning weaknesses, but we haven't seen those weaknesses thrive yet.
I will say immediately though, I'm quite comfortable having most of the roster in A, because I don't think anyone in this game is truly bad right now except Sub-Zero.
Yeah, Sub-Zero's the only one that's really hard.
I think, personally, we've got to put Smoke up here as well.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think Smoke is bad.
You really think
no,
so?
I don't think he's terrible. I just think he has some severe drawbacks for decent positives. You know what I mean? A lot of characters have a lot of good things going on, going for them, but maybe some things that kind of hold them back. I feel like Smoke. I feel like Smoke has kind of even parts, strength weaknesses, like definitively, where he's one of the most unsafe characters in the game. Like, for sure. Like, he is like the definition, I would say, of a glass cannon. You need to pick something like Sector Cameo to not have him just forever die if he guesses wrong or makes a bad mistake or whatever it is.
I don't know if I don't know.
You'd put him lower.
I don't know how I feel about him. Because I also feel like Smoke is the kind of character that we need to see some really good Smoke players rise up and show what this character can do
but there have
pass
been,
that layer.
But there have been some Smoke players having good showings in events. But again, he's just very unsafe. Unsafe.
Here's the thing, right? I think about Smoke and the way some people are trying to play him at the moment, which is super mix-up heavy. Of course, it's what he's designed to do.
He's a glass cannon through and through.
He's very, very unsafe. But I kind of can't unsee the fact that with some games, some players, the masses will use a character and they'll use him in a way that doesn't really work, but they're stubbornly trying to make it work. Like with Smoke, for example.
Smoke Serena isn't... I don't think that's a thing. Personally, I think Smoke Serena is going to die a death. I don't think that's going to be a common pair for much longer. I think we're going to see Smoke players really deviate.
I don't get Smoke and
cameo.
Serena. I don't get why people do that.
It's just damage extensions, really. You can confirm into Serena Knife and then get damage from there. Like, it's not a terrible pairing. I just don't think it gives him what he needs.
Smoke... But by the way, complete, transparency here. If you're struggling against Smoke, you definitely need to just grind out that matchup, because there's a lot of stuff that you eventually start to do that limits what he does, and it instantly opens up a new layer of stuff that he's got to do instead. So, you up blocking the forward 3-2 and knowing what of the cancels are real and which ones are fake. There's a lot of different details that you need to be comfortable with. How to punish like his teleport and stuff, because obviously he sort of backs off a little bit, so you got to dash in and then punish. There's quite a lot, and he's got lots of gaps. But I feel like I'm waiting for there to be like an unbelievably good Smoke player that's showing me what I'm missing.
I've heard that there have been some Smokes that have been doing well in tournaments. I just haven't seen the tournament.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
I want to see it.
I mean,
I don't know if I can comfortably say that. A lot of people say they think Smoke's bad. I don't know if I think he's bad, but I definitely think he's the bottom half of the tier list rather than top half.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I'd put him in that.
But even here, like, obviously we've got so many characters in A, we're kind of getting into bottom 5 territory, but I don't see him that way.
If we are putting this in like an order, if we were to order this
would be bottom 5 territory.
Smoke is just outside of A. I still think he's kind of in that area. But again, like, I say this as someone that I have played a ton of Smokes online.
If you've played online, you've played against Smoke. It's as simple as that.
If you play on Xbox, you fight a lot of Smoke. No disrespect to any of the Smoke players that I fought, because some of them have really made me sweat. But
I like him there. I think that makes sense.
I haven't fought a matchup yet where I felt there are so many solutions for
I'll
me
tell
to
you
enforce.
now.
That's the thing.
Every time I talk about this character with my stream chat, I end up having a bit of a debate about it back and forth. But I'm going to be honest, chat. You know, this is my opinion personally. You're welcome to disagree. There is a character in this game who I have seen stuff from, and I think, I get it, but I've not been completely sold on yet, and that is General Shao. I personally want to put him in B. I think Shao, I don't know what it is that I think he's missing. I just haven't... He's one of the few characters in the game that I haven't seen something from that's made me go like, wow, I get it. You know what I mean? For me, I really think... Because again, he's got the strength. He's got decent damage output. He's got one of the best standing 2s in the game. That standing 2 high is ridiculous. He's got good damage, good corner carry. His unarmed... I think his unarmed stance has the potential to be better than his axe stance. But it's kind of awkward for him to swap between the two.
But I think you also say that because when you're using his unarmed stance, it's because he's point blank already at a range where he's dangerous.
I feel like he's the most inconsistent character in this game. I think his options for cameos are much more limited than most characters in the game.
I also don't think he does enough damage.
I mean, he hurts, but he's not... He should be doing Baraka damage.
Yeah, like...
They should literally... He should be doing what Baraka's doing.
With how he plays... I just feel like, I don't know, maybe I just haven't seen the right General Shao players, but when I see all of these giant combos, and I see him get like 30-something%...
How's he getting them? Standing 2, I guess?
Yeah.
Low commit?
I don't know.
You can only get a combo off the overhead if you have Lao or Motaro, and it scales heavily.
He has potential to be the most limited.
I think he's inconsistent.
That's one of the concerns of General Shao right now, is that he does have potential to be one of the more limited characters, because it seems a bit harder to pair him with cameos, but that might just be my own inexperience.
Well, I've seen people talk about like Sonya with him for combos and everything. Obviously, Motaro and Lao, given the teleport stuff. Lao, I think, is his best. I do think Lao is his best. But if you have like Frost or Sub-Zero, you can activate the Axe buff for free. It's just... I don't know. I feel like Lao is the only cameo that's giving him a lot compared to others, but I don't know if it's enough.
I mean, I've been smoked by a General Shao player before, but I also didn't know what was going on.
I'm not going to say he's useless and you can never lose to him. I've seen some really sick General Shaos. I've watched a lot of people streaming. There's a Shao player in Kombat League who does really well. Obviously, VGY's been playing a lot of Shao. I've seen a few other people here and there. I know Destroyer's been playing Shao. I don't think he's a useless character. I'm not sold on him yet. I am yet to see... Like, for most of these characters in the game, I've seen a player or a showing, or myself have seen him and been like, okay, I think there's some stuff here. I think this character's really got some, got what it takes. I just haven't seen that yet with Shao.
I almost feel like it's hard to even have, like, a B tier.
I mean, I'm comfortable with that.
Like, obviously, for the sake of a tier list, maybe you do need one, but when you look at the tier list here and you see Natara and
I don't want A+, normal, and minus.
Yeah, I know. But when you look at like General Shao, like under Smoke, you look at it and you think, oh my god, I can't believe they're saying that Smoke is way better than General Shao, because I feel like it's so at this stage, it is so marginal.
No. I definitely don't think the gap separating the tiers is like gigantic. Like, this is just... I mean, this is a tier list, you know what I mean? You've got to have your higher tiers and your lower tiers. That's not to say that S is all the way up here and C is, like, whoa, way down on the floor. Like, that's not the case, in my opinion. I think the gaps between the tiers are a lot shorter. But, where are we putting Reptile?
I want to say my final thoughts on General Shao is that I think he's got potential to be higher, Yeah. I haven't really seen it. I've seen really good General Shao players, and I must... completely say I feel rather uncomfortable having him this low, but I also don't know the highest amount about this character to confidently say that he's...
It's almost
really
like it's a way,
either.
way too early tier list, and most tiers no doubt going to change within days, if not weeks.
It's the nature of the way too early tier list, because I ain't...
B+ needed? Nah.
I'm not comfortable with General Shao being there, but I also can't confidently say that he shouldn't be either.
You're a down player, because all of your characters aren't even higher than A. You're just a down player.
I don't play any of the S tier.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
I was trying to... It doesn't matter, whatever.
The final character...
Moving on.
I believe the final character for us to place...
Oh, damn, you're right.
He's the final character. Where do we think Reptile sits?
I don't I don't think he's bad at all. I think we should put him above Scorpion.
You think he should go?
I think he should go above Scorpion. Or maybe above Katana. Above Katana, I think.
Think he's stronger than Katana?
Yeah. I mean, not by, we're talking, like, not huge distances. But I think he's alright. I think he definitely isn't, like, screaming from the rooftops, like, oh my god, this character is insane. But I don't think he's bad by any means.
I'm loving the chat's reaction to that, because it's a mix of people saying good placing, and those are just shocked and appalled.
That's genuinely early tier list 101.
Should we put him down here?
But D?
Will that make life easier for the people in chat? If we put Reptile right at the bottom.
What do you think, chat? Reptile D tier? Yes, no, solid, B, how dare you? No, that's what I'm talking about.
Back he goes.
It's almost like we're in it. It's almost like it's purely opinionated as it currently stands.
Well, look,
I'm thinking, chat.
I think Reptile is a character that we haven't seen the fullest potential yet. I just don't think we've seen, and we haven't seen Reptile hit the peak he can hit. I think there's an element to playing around his invisibility, which could be really, really good. It's very cameo dependent. But, you know, if you're trying to play Reptile purely as like neutral only, and that's kind of it in a very basic sense, I kind of just feel that there is a next layer to Reptile that we kind of just need to see. And we're kind of seeing it a little bit.
I think it might lie in his invisibility. Because I think I'm seeing a lot of Reptile players start to really play Reptile Sub-Zero. And Reptile Sub-Zero lets him guarantee invis on every touch. And when Reptile's invisible, he has like a launching overhead that you cannot see. Can meaty almost automatically back 3 to stop people from just holding up. And it's very confirmable. Like, I think this could be the most playable Reptile has been while invisible. You know, because it's very obvious what he can threaten. And how the fact that... Because again... He's got the launching overhead. Its main downside, it's safe launching overhead at that. Its main downside, you can see it. When he's invisible, you absolutely cannot. You know, and that is scary. I don't know if any of you in chat have fought against a Reptile that's really used invis with Sub-Zero, but I can see potential in it. But again, we're talking potential, not proof being in the pudding. You know what I mean? I think I would like to revisit this tier list when East Coast Throwdown has taken place. Because I firmly believe that East Coast Throwdown is going to be the game's first, like, real international Mortal Kombat tournament where players will be flying in for it, you know what I mean? Because it's a major that always has Netherrealm present. There's already loads of people. I think MK1 is already the most registered for game at ECT, so it's probably going to be the first, like, major, giant-scale tournament for the game. And by then, we'll really know what the game is looking like and what people are prioritizing, what the meta is. So I would want to revisit this once that tournament has taken place.
There's definitely a chance for that. And, you know, just to revisit here, bottom tier, already talked about it. I just don't think Sub-Zero is playing the same game.
No, we don't have to revisit. We talked about Sub.
We don't need to talk about it again. But
what are we thinking of this? I kind of want to move Sindel up. But I don't know. I might just leave it. I think most characters being in A makes sense. Because A is like your middle point of balance, in my opinion. A is where the most truly balanced characters will probably be present. And I'm looking at this A tier, and I see strengths and weaknesses, not to the point that makes them completely worthless, but obviously you have to play around it, you know? But either way, I think I'm okay with that. For what is, again, chat, another reminder, a self-acknowledged, you think? A self-acknowledged, far too early opinionated tier list. I'm quite comfortable with this.
There are some placements that I'm just not 100% sold on.
That's where you and I are going to disagree on certain things, right?
That is mostly, truth be told, because the game hasn't been out long enough for me to have this absolutely rock-solid opinion. And as we've said before, being able to put this together and try and get some thoughts
No,
into
I've
this
enjoyed
online
this.
list.
No, I've enjoyed this because it means we obviously have an opportunity to just say about what we think of the characters and how we think they're shaping up. And there's all the chance in the world that it would change, but I know I'm feeling quite good about this being a reflection of my views on the game overall at the moment. Because ultimately that's what this is, chat. You know what I mean? Like, this is a tier list that we did because it was our impossible sub goal that we somehow hit. People wanted to see it. People made it happen. Here we are. We're chatting about it, and it is ultimately our opinion. So, you know, feel free to agree, disagree, whatever it is. But thank you very much for tuning in. We are going to be following this up with a cameo fighter tier list as well. Obviously, it won't take as long because there's less of them and there's less detail to go in.
Unless you're massively sick to your stomach at the sight of this tier list, of which feel free to give that one a miss. I think the cameo list has some decent I'm actually more excited to do that one because there's so much more variables.
But I am okay with this. Not being like exactly ordered, like try not to take the orders like too much in you know, in order, but you know, whatever. Either way, thank you very much everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone who subscribed, whether it's the primes, whether it's the gift subs, whether it's the normal subs. We appreciate it. Thank you all for the support, and of course those of you watching on YouTube, thanks for sticking it out. And hopefully you join us on our cameo fighter way too early tier list, which you'll no doubt be following. But thank you very much everyone. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy, and I'll see you later.